Hello, I'm Frank Evans. I'm the film editor of the Boar, and today I'm talking with Adam Rehmeier, the director of the new film Dinner in America, which will be available on streaming services across the UK on the 1st of June. Adam, how are you?
I'm very good. How about yourself, sir?
I'm very well, thank you. Did I get the pronunciation of your last name right?
You got like spot on.
Brilliant.
Spot on.
That's
I
great.
I was I didn't want to emit like a sound, but I was close to sound emission from that. Yeah, really. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. The first question I wanted to ask was, watching the film, you see Polaroids, you see cassette tapes. No one has a smartphone or uses the internet. So when is the film set?
That's a good question. That is a very good question. When is the film set? I consider it contemporary. Despite those things, I consider it contemporary. There's mention one time about the cell phone. I think Simon tells his bandmates, "You don't want to play to it. See his cell phones, do you?" So there's one little hint that it's contemporary, but it's, to me, honestly, it's not about a specific time. It's sort of its own parallel universe, or just sort of timeless quality to it. It doesn't really. It feels like everybody kind of takes their own thing. They're like, I get things from the late '80s, the '90s, early '90s. People say, "Oh, this must be early aughts." I kind of like it. I kind of like it not being specific. But yeah, I just, you know what? There's nothing worse for me than watching a film and seeing somebody text or call. I'm just so fucking bored when I see that. So using like an old rotary phone, it just looks so much better. It's like it communicates the same thing. They've got to talk to somebody. I just love the phones in this movie. There's the yellow one that the maid uses. There's the blue one that Lou at the diner threatened Simon with. And there's a couple that we cut out, like payphones, like old school payphones that were great. But yeah.
Absolutely. Even just seeing Simon pick up his mail from a mail locker felt like a real throwback.
Not an email, right?
Absolutely.
It was fun, you know. Well, no, it's because I wrote this film so long ago that like all these things were still being used. No, it took forever to get this film made. So yeah, again, from a design perspective, I like that so much better. Seeing those like rotary phones and seeing, you know, the PO boxes and stuff like that for the mail.
Now, you've mentioned that it took you a long time to get the film together. I think in previous interviews you've said it took about 6 years.
Yeah. Right. It was 6 years from the writing to the premiere. Yeah, it was like 6 years pretty much on the money.
When did you know that things were finally starting to come together and the film was going to get made?
The first week of production.
Right, okay.
It's a little bit of a joke, but not really, because it's always like that close. I don't believe anything until I'm like physically shooting. So, you know, it's like you can tell me that we're going to do it, but until we're actually doing it, you know, it's like with this film, it had many configurations and it had a lot of just, we almost did it and then it got yanked and then financing fell apart. You know, it's just stuff like that, you know. But yeah, it was a long journey. There's definitely films and projects, and I have way more in the arsenal that I have more time in than this even. So the way that my projects are set up, and I'm looking over here because there's a wall of projects up here. There's like 55 on this board over here. It's like a garden that you tend to, and they all take X amount of time, you know, to mature. Like some things shoot up really quick, you know, your green onions, and then you've got watermelons and squash and pumpkins that take many, you know, years to come to fruition. So it's a long-term chess game, if you will.
See, well, speaking of watermelon, the original song for the film Watermelon, I believe, was written by you and Emily Skeggs.
It was indeed. I remember it fondly. The day that the day that we wrote it. I actually have a demo of it too. So that might come out at some point. You know, the little demo that we recorded on the day that we came up with it. But yeah, we had a chunk of time. We didn't have a lot of money. You know, like this is a lower budget film, obviously, but so what the producers were very supportive of was time and giving me time. So we had a full 2 weeks before we shot that I got to be with Kyle and Emily, like prior to us going. And the very first day, they flew to Detroit, and the very first day we did Kyle's music. We did all the punk stuff with this band Disco Assault that came across from Windsor, Canada. They came across the bridge, worked over here. They laid down all of the psyops tracks plus the scratch vocals that their vocalist did of the songs. We licensed 3 songs from them, and then there was a collaboration between me and them for Dinner in America, the title song. So we laid all of those down, plus live versions of the song Obey and the song that they play at the end. So we did like live versions of Dinner in America and Obey that were different than the studio versions. Just we wanted them to sound a little bit different live. So we had, I think, 6 tracks all in, because we did the 4 that we used in the picture plus the live stuff, 2 versions. And Kyle laid down all of the vocals on that. And after they had done the scratch track. So that was really cool, because he didn't have any experience doing that, and he like shot his voice out pretty bad, like because he hasn't been a rocker for 20 years doing that. So his voice was pretty roached, and then on top of it, I had him on a diet of cigarettes, like for the movie. Like, I mean, it was insane how many cigarettes he has to smoke in the fucking movie. So he's just blasting these things all day, and his voice is like it's a couple notches down from where it normally is. It's so gravelly, so low in the film. We joke about it all the time that, you know, if he's ever going to do something with Simon again, he'd have to like go through a pretty hardcore cigarette regimen to even get it there. Just blow it out. But you asked about watermelon. So yeah. Well, my point with that is Emily and I, on the second day, we did Kyle's stuff the first day, and then Emily and I had a day to do a song. We had no idea what it was going to be. She brought all these lyrics that she wrote in character as Patty to Simon, and she had done that as part of her prep. And she had all these pages, and we just kind of went through. We were looking. I remember seeing that line, "I'm a watermelon slammed into your driveway. Crack me open so I feel the air inside me." And it's like, whoa. It's like just a wild one, you know? And I was drawn to that. And I think we had a laugh, and I was just like, this is it. And let's do this. And we started cherry picking other things that went in and just sequenced it into this, to what it became. And we did like a little quick demo with the guitar. Like I was just playing the guitar, and we sat on it overnight. I sent it to her. I texted her the thing. We sat on it overnight. And then the next day, I played it for the producers when they were all staying at my house, and we were sitting in a little powwow circle, and I played in the song a couple of times, and everybody was just like, okay. Yeah, okay. Because, a song, it's 1/8 of a page in the script, and it's basically like she belts out this thing, and it's great, it's good. It's like, for producers, it's like, what is that going to be? Like, what is that song going to be? And it's for me, I was always like, well, I need to have the vessel first before I can determine what the song is going to be. I'm not going to know unless I have the vessel. So we laid it down, and I think that's the second take. What you hear on that's her second vocal take. And it's just the thing. That was just the thing, and it's just time to move on at that point. You're like, yeah, that's the song. So I played the guitar, the drums, and the bass, and she did the vocals, and then we didn't really think much about it. Our engineer and producer, like, he mixed it, and I was just wanted everything clean, like no effects, no anything. It's like, should sound like a 4-track tape that they just recorded, and that's it. And obviously at the end of the movie, we expanded it, because as I was cutting it, I decided, well, let's circle back to the song, play the song, and have it kind of explode in a different way at the very end, and fatten it with some more guitars and more, like, some keyboards and stuff. So I went back in and ended up remixing it at the end to create that version, which was, like, I think the last element I did for the film. That was the last thing.
Right. I really love the scene where they play the song for the first time, because it's a great turning point for the characters, because up to that point, Simon is quite shocking.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the kind of person I'd be scared of if I just met him somewhere.
Yeah.
But I really love the fact that over the course of the film, you realize he's actually a really sweet person, and the relationship between them so tender towards the end.
Yeah. I mean, it's the hardest thing. I saw, before I cast Kyle, I saw a picture of him that made me very interested in working with him. And it was his, I don't know if it was going around as a headshot, but he told me later, because I didn't know where the photo came from. It was a tintype style photo that was from Sundance, like 2015. And he, I guess whatever it was like a booth, and they made these tintypes, and you got to take it home with you. And he had either scanned it or done something. And it was his Facebook profile picture. And it was also when the casting director when we had lists of actors early on, Kyle was on there, and he just stood out to me because it was like, there was the same thing when I look at, like, James Dean, of that kind of, like, bad boy. I'm talking about, like, rebel without a cause kind of zone there. It's that bad boy thing, but there's also that sensitivity and vulnerability. And it came through. Like, I don't know where Kyle was in his life in 2015. But the picture, it was everything that I was looking for in Simon, 100% in one shot. And it's a great shot. You can find it easily, but it had everything. I don't think that Simon's all that far from who I see in that picture. I think it's spot on. I think my instincts were really spot on with Kyle. The only problem was we had a producer that had auditioned him for a movie, and he ended up not getting the part. He wasn't quite right for it. They went with somebody else, and so we had him slip Kyle the script. And this was like, I want to say this was like in 2016. Well, he didn't read it. And it went for like almost 3 years. And we had cast the film, I think, once or twice, and the film had fallen apart. And then the DP that was going to shoot Dinner in America, he was working with Kyle in Romania on a film. And he was like, I'm shooting this thing back in the States, it just fell apart, but they're trying to put it back together, and they don't have a lead. You should check it out. It's called Dinner in America. And he was like, I swear I've heard of that film. I have that script. He went back in his email from like 3 years prior, and there it was, like, sitting in there. So he read it that night, and we're getting a call the next day that he wants to do the movie.
Wonderful. Well, it's brilliant that it finally came together. I mean, how do you feel about the state of independent cinema in America at the moment?
I can't even comment on that. I feel so, like, disconnected from everything still, like, in the pandemic. I've, like, barely worked in this period of time. So I feel so disconnected from, like, being able to comment on that right now. I mean, of course, I want things to be in theaters and, stuff again. It's the whole point. So I don't know what that even looks like right now. So It's weird. It's been a weird one. You know what I'm saying? I missed a lot of the so you know, I edited the film as well. So there's a period of time that I'm physically working on the film. It's like a really, you know, it's beefy. It's like 18-month period of time. You know, by the time we've gone through pre-pro several times and production, and then, you know, cutting the film, and I'm doing soundtrack work, and I'm just heavily involved in, you know, sound design and the mix and just getting everything right. And, you know, you get to the festival part of it really is like the come down part of it all. So if you take that out of the equation, I've done a lot of obviously virtual, you know, Q&As and whatnot, but it's not quite the same experience as just like letting go, you know, of the project. So I just feel like a little discombobulated from like the last, you know, 15 months.
It's very understandable. Mm-hmm. I think we all do.
Yeah. I'm itching to get back and to see things and to, like, you know, experience that. I mean, I think there will be such a resurgence, obviously, and I think it will be glorious when it happens. But until we get to that part, it's just like, I feel like I just can't comment on it because I just don't know.
I understand. Do you have a favorite memory of shooting the film?
Yeah, the basement stuff with them. The basement stuff because several of us were very emotionally moved in the filming of it. That was incredible to like. Also, our first week was a little rocky on the film. If I could go back and change anything about the film, I would have changed the first week and just shot all of Kyle's stuff like alone first, and then whatever. I'm just saying a bunch of shit that doesn't really matter. Like, I would have changed the first week because the way that we had it set up was like stuff on the bus and stuff with the car rig, and like there was some like little mini disasters that happened with, like, you know, you're, like I said, it's a low budget film, so you don't have a lot of time. So there's stuff with the rigging and shit that just in the bus, and like getting the bus, it was a pain in the ass. It really was. And so I'm getting less shots than I had planned out. Like, I'm having to like compromise and doing stuff in the first week in a way that I wasn't really like super comfortable with. So we move into the second week. We had like a 3-day weekend because it was a holiday here, and the crew off of that first week, and the crew kind of like we're just teetering. Like, it's such a delicate dance. What happened at the end of the second week is we did the song, and when some crew and other people who were around peripherally experienced that moment, I think it deepened everything for everybody and invested them in a different way. And it was the moment on set that made the crew become family, and to go the extra mile in every aspect from that point on to make this thing what it was. Like, I believe that, like the energy shifted. So I think we were able to, you know, push past the first week, which was rocky, and just kind of move into this new thing. And that's where everybody rallied. And then the rest of the show was just like everyone rallying every day. So it was an inspirational part of it for everyone, that song.
Brilliant. I thought I'd just ask you to wrap things up. Have you got any upcoming projects that you'd like people to know about?
Save a Bullet for me is a really batshit genre film that you should check out. It will be nothing more than, you know, just tons of blood and guts, and, you know, just a real batshit crazy thing. So that's one of them, one of the upcoming ones that I'll plug right now. Save a Bullet for me. Yeah, it's a brutal, I guess, Western survival film.
Wonderful. That sounds brilliant. Well, thank you very much for giving us your time today. I really appreciate it.